second one took it a little bit farther, and a little bit closer to that idea of Frankenstein's monster. And it's actually related to that first image I showed you in the beginning. It's what you're looking at right here. Now, to try to understand what's happening here, we basically have to understand what the scientists were trying to create a few years ago, or more specifically back in 2003. The scientists were trying to create an artificial virus that could then infect certain bacteria. And they did so by combining genes from certain organisms into one single genome. So in other words, they were able to generate artificial genome that then infected the bacteria. And back then, this was a groundbreaking discovery or a groundbreaking achievement, which essentially gave some other scientists a completely different idea. Okay, one thing is to create a virus, but what if we try to create a bacterium as well, completely from scratch, from basically just the genes necessary for a bacteria to function, to propagate, to replicate itself, to do all of the necessary life things. In other words, they wanted to create an absolute basic bacteria that would be qualified to be called life. So artificial life with absolutely minimum genome. And the first version of this bacteria was originally created back in 2010 when the scientists were successfully able to design the first ever synthetic bacterial cell, a cell that the scientists referred to as J. Craig Venter Institute version 1, also known as JCVI Syn1. And this was essentially the first ever organism with a completely synthetic genome, with the actual genes themselves combined together from other organisms. But back then, back in 2010, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't actually performing as well as they hoped it would. And so in some sense, it was just the first version of this experiment. And since then, the scientists from this institute were able to produce a few more versions of this cell, making it better and better every time. And so, for example,